At the 2022 APS March Meeting, the physics community gathers in Chicago and online to discuss new developments and research in physics. The hybrid March Meeting program explores a wide range of topics, from nanotechnologies to quantum computers, gravitational waves, and much more. And APS TV is right here, bringing you all the latest from the meeting. Welcome to the McCormick Place Convention Center in Chicago and episode 1 of APS TV 2022. As attendees are joining for the first day of the March meeting, we're here to find out more about some of this year's hot topics. We catch up with the 2022 APS President, Francis Hellman, and APS CEO, John Bagger. We also speak to Robin Sellinger, Speaker of the APS Council, and David Campbell, Chair of the March Meeting Program. We hear more about new and exciting developments in physics from a wide range of research organizations around the globe. And finally, we ask you, the attendees, what's the best thing about finally meeting in person again? As you can see, we have an exciting program coming up. So stay tuned for our first interview. You're watching APS TV. Francis Hellman, APS President, and John Bagger, APS CEO, are with me right now. Hello, congratulations on this meeting. I know it was quite a task to get people here together. How does it feel?
Oh my God, it's fantastic. It's actually, now I'm choking up thinking about it. It is just so fantastic to be back in person and to be able to see people and interact and all the spontaneity, all the things that happen that just do not happen online.
I love seeing the people. I guess I hadn't realized how much I miss it, but this is my first conference back, and it is just wonderful again to reconnect with people after all this time.
APS is tackling such important topics. And on top of all of that, you had to deal with the logistics of bringing people together. How challenging was that? And how did you keep your focus on APS and the issues of APS?
This is a huge meeting. It's an enormous meeting. And pre-pandemic, it was already a lot of management to deal with 10,000 people. Then we pivoted into the virtual meetings, which was quite an impressive pivot that the APS staff managed to pull off with the help of the many, many volunteers as well who participate. And then pivoting to this, which is a hybrid meeting, is simultaneously exciting. You know, John has spoken eloquently about the importance of being able to do hybrid, the accessibility for people who really either can't come because of COVID or just never could come.
Yeah, and so this is now actually the largest March meeting we've ever had between the combination of the people here in person and the people viewing remotely.
So for your level of experience attending this meeting, if I'm attending for the first time perhaps, the 10th time perhaps, I want to know, what is the don't miss session from your perspective?
So this does more than one thing, which is kind of the great part. It has just an extensive set of invited sessions, but the other side of it is the contributed talks, which are short. They're 10-minute talks, and they're really often unpublished work, just brand new things that people are excited about. And then the final component is the hallways. You know, for me as a longtime member, this is where I get to see all my colleagues and friends and catch up with them. And you know, for a new person, it's where they get to meet all the people whose papers they've been reading, and they get to actually meet them.
I'm really happy that this meeting is focusing on climate change, because the Nobel Prize this year validated that physics and climate change are closely related to each other. And so we're having sessions talking about how physicists can contribute to the energy crisis, to mitigating climate change, and it's super timely, and it's also a subject that young people are really interested in as well. And so I think that's an integral part of this meeting.
Great science at the meeting, great scientists coming together, which is so wonderful. Do you think that the model of this hybrid is something that will continue?
We would like it to continue, and we want it to continue precisely because of the accessibility issues. It allows more students to attend because it's expensive to come to a meeting and students can't always afford it. It allows us to reach internationally as well. And so it really does increase the footprint of APS Our mission is to advance and diffuse the knowledge of physics. What better way than to use modern technology to do it?
Even to add to that, the industry folks, I mean, for many people who work in industry, their companies often won't support their coming to a conference, so they actually have to take vacation time to come to a conference. And here they can attend remotely, and so I think there is a huge benefit to this.
Opening these doors can open many more doors in the future. So Francis Hellman and John Bagger, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. It's
very
our
much.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
And congratulations on putting together a pretty great meeting. Now, let's take a look at some of the latest developments in the world of physics. The olfactory sense doesn't always garner much attention, but COVID-19 triggered all of us to pay attention to our sense of smell. This story features an esteemed group of scientists trying to understand a fundamental problem in neuroscience: how brains organize and process information from odors that then lead to behavioral actions.
The odor to action network is trying to solve really a fundamental problem in neuroscience, which is how do animals take odor stimulus from the environment around them and use that information in their brains to make behavioral decisions.
A project of this scale really requires bringing together people with different areas of expertise, different interests, and that's a fundamental part of team science.
Odor to Action is a big network of 16 PIs across the globe, right, in Canada and in the US, of course, and in the UK.
And the goal is that if we do team science well, that we hope to transform the state of knowledge on this problem in a way that's greater than what we could do individually as individual scientists.
Trying to understand how the brain does this really complicated task can give us a window into how we might engineer man-made systems that can do equivalent tasks. That's one of the areas that we're really excited about.
Founded in 1948, Raytheon BBN provides advanced technology research and development with a focus on national security priorities. Raytheon BBN scientists and engineers continue to challenge conventions to create new and better solutions in analytics and machine intelligence, networks and sensors, intelligent software and systems, and physical sciences.
The quantum engineering and computing group at BBN got its start about 20 years ago, and that was in developing a quantum network in the Boston-Cambridge area. We take an entirely new idea and realize something which actually is functional on the timescale of a few years. At this point, we focus on quantum computing, advanced 2D materials research, optics and photonics, and neuromorphic and energy-efficient computing. But those areas have been constantly evolving over the last several years.
We're really working across the full stack of quantum technology, so developing algorithms, hardware and software to better perfect quantum computers.
What we typically do is come up with a new research idea. This could be something fundamentally new, like a qubit based on advanced 2D materials like graphene. What we do at that point is find some partners. This could be academic partners, industrial or government partners. We create a team, we find funding opportunities, and we get this work funded and then work really hard for a few years to see it realized.
Metrology, the science of measurement. It provides the foundation for everything from commerce to communication and space exploration to cryptography. At INRIM, the Italian National Metrology Institute in Turin, their pioneering quantum research and nanoscience is taking metrology into a new era.
INRIM is one of the leading institutions worldwide dealing with quantum metrology, producing research for fundamental science and application, giving added value for the metrological chains. We are responsible for all the activities in the country under the frame of the MITRE Convention.
The focus of our activity is on the development of novel advanced materials and measuring techniques to meet the increasing demand of societal needs in several fields.
We devote the research to atomic clocks, to devices based on superconducting materials or other sophisticated quantum effects, and quantum communications like quantum key distribution.
we carry out metrological research and new services in order to support societal challenges like the ones related to climate change and the use of clean energy.
GLOW is set up to commercialize hollow core photonic crystal fiber and their functionalized form, photonic microcells. GLOW products are built upon its proprietary and disruptive specialty fiber technology and gas photonics, and it strives to keep its innovative edge by collaborating with CNRS and University of Limoges.
I founded GLOW back in Bath, in the University of Bath in England. And then we're trying to find commercial avenues to a technology that we built in the lab.
We work on taking a very particular technology, atom-filled hollow core fibers, and trying to develop the next generation of quantum sensors, which at the same time is comparable to the level of precision that you have in research-grade laboratories.
GLOW Photonics aims to be the leader of hollow core photonic crystal fiber-based component.
Because GLOW Photonics is a deep tech company, it's nicely set to be a major player in the multi-transformation that we live in, being it in the telecom or big data and in the quantum technology revolution that we're witnessing.
Robin Seliger, APS Speaker of the Council, is here with me now. Thank you so much. It must be nice to be back.
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm so excited to be at this conference. I can't tell you.
So talk about the focus this year.
The focus for the Council this year, for the spring meeting of the Council, which is coming up this April, we're really going to drill down on how APS central services meet the needs of our unit, specifically in the area of communication. So the question is, are our unit leaders getting the messages through to the members that they need to? What is frustrating them? What is not working? What is working? And if there's things that need to be fixed, what are they?
How do you all get that message out?
Oh, APS is working on many fronts. So let's just say that social justice is a really important family value for the APS. Within APS, we have also this effort called Delta Phi, headed up by our immediate past president, Jim Gates, talking about Delta, in physics just means change, and Phi represents physics. So Delta Phi is how do we change the culture of our own community? So looking at, to combat bias, to combat discrimination, and to really try to transform not only our meetings, but our classrooms, our laboratories into places that, that are welcoming and inclusive to everybody. As a woman growing up in science, when women were relatively few, I remember I was an undergraduate at Harvard. There was not a single female faculty member, not a single one. And I went to a luncheon for the sophomores who had just identified as physics majors. And I looked at all the tables at all the 100% male faculty. And I looked at the women who were serving the meal. And I thought maybe I'd rather have lunch with them. It was a time. But look at this meeting. The first invited talk I heard this morning was a wonderful talk by a full professor from University of Pennsylvania, who is a woman, and it was a fabulous talk. We have such a tremendous increase in the role of women in APS, and we hope to see the diversity of APS, not just from the viewpoint of gender or gender identity, but also ethnicity, racial background, socioeconomic background. One of the challenges is unpaid internships. I teach at Kent State. Most of my students need their part-time wages to get by. So I just saw in February of this year, NSF put out a statement saying grant holders of NSF grants can apply for a supplement to pay a high school student to do an internship. I'm actually leading a high school internship program at Kent State that's free, and it carries free tuition for a student to get a college credit for doing the internship.
Some progress.
Well, we are paying our undergraduates. So NSF has been funding for many years the Research Experience for Undergraduates program. I'm happy to say we have one of those at Kent State in our chemistry department. which also covers the Advanced Materials and Liquid Crystal Institute where I work. And we pay our undergraduates. If we're going to be equitable and get more students, that are not the ones that can afford to do free labor to get their foot in the door, it's a social justice issue.
So as you embrace your leadership role in the council, what are you most looking forward to?
Being in person, because we've been on Zoom I went to my first council meetings, I think I went to 2 that were in person. And then for the last 2 years, it's been Zoom. And just to actually, there are people that I've been Zooming with every 2 weeks for a year, right? And then I actually get to see them at this conference. I'm so happy. But the other issue is one of the things we miss out on in Zoom, we're in like a session where only one person talks and everybody else listens. We miss those conversations at the coffee break, at the lunch table. And one thing I'm trying to introduce as a best practice is using other types of online interaction besides Zoom. There's other things like, Gather.town has been used extensively by APS, or Wonder.me or Spatial.chat. That's like a virtual social gathering where people can cluster in small conversations. It's not like one person talks and 19 people listen. It's like 2 people can be talking over here and 3 people talking over here. And you can move your icon across the virtual room and say, hey, Lisa, how you doing? And Lisa's like, oh, do you know my friend Gary? You have the social interactions like you would have in a normal place. And so, and that way you get that informal communication that we've been missing so much.
Well, hopefully all good things to come. Robin Sellinger, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dina.
We're APS TV, your daily news show featuring interviews and discussions on hot topics in physics from this year's APS March Meeting. You can catch us around the convention center, in your hotel room, on the virtual meeting platform, and on YouTube. You can join the conversation on social media as well. With new content each day of the meeting, make sure to keep watching. The National Institute for Materials Science in Japan is one of the core research institutes in the field of materials science. NIMS is leading the Nanotechnology Platform Japan program with a mission to promote collaborative research between academia and industry, as well as provide shared use of cutting-edge equipment and facilities to support further development of nanotechnology.
The Nanotechnology Platform Japan, NPJ, is a 10 years government project from 2012 to 2021. The purpose is to establish a nationwide user facilities network between 3 technological areas, including advanced characterization nanotechnology, nanofabrication, and molecule and material synthesis. I believe NIMS will be very influential in the field of material science for years to come through providing opportunities for researchers and industries to use our advanced facilities and platforms to accelerate R&D in nanotechnology. Moreover, we will continue to promote interdisciplinary collaborations among various fields and share our expertise to inspire students and future scientists from around the world.
The Center for Nanophase Materials Sciences at Oak Ridge National Laboratory offers the national and international user community access to staff expertise and state-of-the-art equipment for a broad range of nanoscience research, including nanomaterials, synthesis, nanofabrication, imaging, and theory. Let's take a look.
The Center for Nanophase Materials Sciences is a scientific user facility, and it's our mission to develop some of the best instruments in the world that are unique for looking at nanomaterials and understanding phenomena at the nanoscale.
My job is using a scanning tunneling microscope to look at the materials in the atomic scale. With this microscope, we can see the individual atoms in the materials, and also we can see their quantum properties. We can figure out what's the quantum phenomena we can find out from these materials.
I work at the intersection of physics and machine learning. We call it physics-based machine learning. We can just take the already available machine learning models developed by Google or Facebook and apply them right away to our scientific data.
We have some of the best material scientists anywhere. We've got the ability with our clean room to modify these materials. We've got one of the biggest supercomputers in the world for predicting how these materials behave.
Next QLEAP Atto is a subdivision of the Next Generation Laser Division of the QLEAP program. The project is a collaboration of around 60 researchers from a mix of research institutions, companies, and universities across Japan who will be coming together to observe and develop the ultra-fast phenomena of attosecond pulses.
The Atto division is one of the two divisions in Advanced Laser Innovation Center. And ALICE is one of the flagships of Quantum Leap project, which is called QLEAP. In Atto division, 32 research groups, 12 universities and 5 research institutes and 3 companies are involved. We will develop prototypes of attosecond light sources and also prototypes of measurement systems. By pump and probe measurement using attosecond laser pulses, we can probe in real time ultra-fast processes of atoms and molecules and also the ultra-fast motion of electrons in the attosecond time domain.
Now to Berlin in Germany and the Max Born Institute, a center of excellence in laser expertise. They investigate ultra-fast processes and develop state-of-the-art laser-based light sources for this purpose.
The Max Born Institute is the best place for my research because it is, on the one hand, an institute where we have a fantastic expertise on ultra-fast laser physics and a very collaborative atmosphere that is very conducive to performing top-class research. And at the same time, here in Germany, it's a very well-funded research where we can realize the dreams in our research.
After my postdoc, I wanted to establish an independent junior research group. And from my research interest and from the collaborations here at the Institute, that's just a perfect place to establish the group and also to provide for the resources we require for our computations.
I feel really comfortable working here at the MBI because there is a big support throughout the whole institute. There is always someone who can help you, regardless if it's work-related or even if it's some personal stuff.
The Max Born Institute is trying to be an institute which is diverse and also is aiming towards gender equality, which is very important for science. So it's the right place to be at the present time.
APS Meeting Program Chair David Campbell is joining me now. What a Herculean effort to put this all together. You've got an in-person meeting, you've got a virtual meeting at the same time.
Well, Herculean is definitely the right word. The credit goes largely to the APS staff, to be honest. Of course, the program committee, the DCMP and DMP and others did a lot of work on the scientific input, but organizing the meeting is the Herculean work of the APS staff. There are about, I think, 7,500 in-person attendees and 5,400 virtual attendees. It's the biggest meeting, APS March meeting, that we've ever had. And it really is, as you said, 2 meetings in one. Because it's impossible, as you can imagine, with sort of 50 sessions going on in every 3-hour block, 3 3-hour blocks a day, so 9 hours of lectures. It's impossible to live stream them all. So many of the events had to be recorded in advance, and people had to upload their talks, and many people didn't know that, or to be honest, they didn't read the emails, or there were so many emails. So it's been quite a task. But so far, there's no wood here, but touch wood, it's been going pretty well.
The good news is with some of those recorded, I think people can attend the in-person sessions and then maybe go back. What are some of the program highlights that you say, don't miss this?
Well, actually one happened yesterday, so they can see it on recording. It's the Nobel Prize session. This year's Nobel Prize, well, last year's, 2021, was given for basically the physics of complex systems. And they gave half the prize to two climatologists who showed that the climate was a complex system, and the second half of the prize to Giorgio Parisi for his work in disordered systems. That work is actually, to be perfectly honest, closer to the thrust of this meeting generally, but the climate people in the GPC, the group on the physics of the climate, made a tremendous effort to show the relevance, and it's pretty clear that climate change is relevant to all of us, and there were excellent talks. The session was scheduled for 2 hours, went for almost 3, so it was definitely interesting. There'll be another highlight at the end of the week, the Kavli Memorial Session, or I don't think they call it Memorial, Kavli Session, which is going to be on the value of physics for everyday life. And we have 5 outstanding speakers, including a Nobel laureate. So that'll be on Thursday. And then in between, there's sessions on everything. Of course, superconductivity is still very hot, high temperature superconductivity, two-dimensional materials, applied physics is very big.
I've seen a lot of smiles here, people who are coming together for the first time in several years. What has that been like for you? And clearly it's easier to navigate, I think, when you're here.
Yeah, well, it's actually extremely interesting. It was 2019 that we last had a meeting. That was in Boston, actually. Brutally cold, a lot of snow, but still a personal contact was important. We canceled the 2020 meeting at the very last minute. And in fact, that was a wise decision because there were 10,000 people headed for Denver, and 2021 was all virtual, which was in fact actually much easier to organize than this meeting. Having both the virtual, which you can't live stream everything, and the in-person made it very difficult.
You talk about this idea of not being able to live stream. Is there a way, or do you have advice for people who are attending virtually to really get the most out of the conference?
Well, they should of course go to the sessions virtually, and they can ask questions, but they can post questions and they can be answered. But it's very difficult for them to interact. There's no way you can't have a live stream from every single session. It's just simply unaffordably expensive, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of discussion about the problems with the hybrid meeting, but I think there are a lot of features that people are pushing for hybrid meetings. For instance, one thing that you might not have thought of is the carbon footprint. People flying from everywhere burn up a lot of carbon. But there's a push to have future meetings be either all virtual, which most people don't like, or hybrid. And that will cost more. So it's not clear how it's going to be done.
But that is sort of the wave of the future, isn't it?
It is the wave of the
hybrid
future.
model.
We're seeing it all the offices, all the office buildings are going unrented. People are working from home, famously wearing their pajama bottoms while they have nice shirts on, which I don't have.
Well, you've got your suit jacket on.
I got my suit jacket and my suit pants.
What's the highlight for you after all of this hard work planning?
Just seeing people here. I mean, meeting old friends, people I haven't seen in several years. Trying to keep the balls all bouncing in the air.
Well, I will say it looks very successful so far. David Campbell, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And finally today, we're speaking to you, the delegates, about what you most enjoy about meeting in person again.
So I changed my position from one to the other, and I've never met my colleagues. This colleague of mine was asking me about what's your height.
It's lovely to actually see people's faces in person rather than over a video screen, and be able to walk around in person rather than having to drive a little icon around the screen.
It's great to see people, being able to really see their body language and their reaction. It's always great to meet up with old friends. I feel like it's been forever.
That's it for our first day here at the 2022 APS March Meeting. And things are really beginning to kick off here in Chicago and on the virtual meeting platform, with attendees joining in the conversation from around the world. Tomorrow, we'll have more interviews with thought leaders and award winners, and we'll take a look at some of the work universities are doing in all things physics, so make sure to tune in. Before then, you can watch the show here at the Conference Center, in your hotel room, and online. And don't forget to subscribe to APS TV on social media. We'll see you tomorrow.